Hey guys, what's up? It's Biscuit Boo Horror Reviews, here with a review of a Spanish horror film from 1976, by the name of Who Can Kill a Child, also known as Island of the Damned and Would You Kill a Child, or Could You Kill a Child. Needless to say, it goes by a few different titles. This movie is a pretty underseen and kind of forgotten Spanish horror film about a British couple who end up on an island where all the children have murdered all of the adults, essentially. It's the classic killer kids movie setup, except this was done before most of them. This was done in 76, same year as, The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane, which is another kind of killer kids movie, but I don't want to get into other movies of the genre. Essentially, this is one of the earlier ones that I've always heard. This movie is really creepy and super just amazing, and surprisingly, somehow it's nobody's ever fucking heard of it, despite this movie being amazing. So I've been meaning to see this one for a while. The film starts with some stock footage of essentially war crimes, concentration camps, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, etc., etc. All of it while the voiceover explains that child casualties have been fairly common throughout war, and that's really not much news to somebody like me. But still, it spends 8 minutes and talking about this, and I was officially fucking depressed after that. So once those 8 minutes are up, the film finally starts with a dead woman washing up on the beach in Spain and being found by a kid. Not a bad start. We meet the couple who end up in Spain because they're on vacation. And when they're trying to get some peace and quiet, trying to find a nice hotel, they can't, so they end up going to a secluded, quiet island where the mail is only sent out to them once a week by boat. Yeah, they're pretty much stranded, this island, that is. And they decide to rent a boat and go to the island, and from there the film kind of plays on its own and takes a few interesting turns along the way. The film features some pretty solid acting all around. I would never say anybody here deserves an Oscar, but the two main actors, the couple that is, they're really good in their roles, and they do a good job of making these characters likable, and you want them to get out of this alive. The film has a pretty solid script as well. It's also a very well shot movie. The location on the island is really, really beautiful, and the buildings have some really cool architecture going on. That, combined with the abandoned look of the town, really just brings it all together and gives it this mysterious, eerie feeling that I think I could only compare the feeling to the feeling of the town in The Wicker Man. So, everything from a technical standpoint in this movie is well done. There's nothing super amazing going on. There are a couple shots and kind of shot compositions that I thought were really cool. But other than that, there's nothing too amazing going on as far as, camera work, lighting, sound, music. The music in this movie is fairly decent. It's nothing too memorable. I don't think they'll ever be releasing the soundtrack to this movie, let me put it that way. The pacing in the film is slow, and I would even say that, I'm sure some people would even say that this movie is boring because of how slow it is, because I'll be straight with you. The first death that happens in the movie doesn't happen until 50 minutes in. That is the kind of slow burn we are talking here. Now, some people might say that this movie is boring because of that. I personally don't have a problem with slow burn horror films. I rarely can dig it and get into it when I'm in the right mood. Some people might not, but patient viewers will definitely be rewarded with this film by sticking with it, because this movie has a very interesting, engaging story, and like I said, a few good twists and turns along the way, and a very, very nice atmosphere. Not the best atmosphere I've ever seen in like a Spanish horror film or in horror films in general, but it's a pretty good atmosphere for a movie that, again, is something that not a lot of people have seen. On the gore meter from 1 to 10, 1 being something like Nosferatu, and 10 being something like Peter Jackson's Brain Dead, Who Can Kill a Child is like a 3 out of 10. Like, there's some bloody moments here and there, but other than a few scant moments, this movie is pretty much, all the kills are pretty much off-screen, for the most part. While this film isn't nearly as exploitive as the title might suggest, although towards the last 10 minutes it does get a little dicey, I already knew ahead of time what this movie was going to be. I knew it was going to be a creepy, slow burn kind of film. I knew it wasn't going to be super exploitive or anything, so I'm not disappointed by it, but anybody going in not knowing it's a slow burn horror film might expect some child murder fest in the vein of something like Beware Children at Play, which this film is most definitely not. That being said, this movie is an amazing, an absolutely amazing addition to the killer kids genre, and I would go ahead and say that it's a downright masterpiece of said genre. This is definitely one of the best Spanish horror films I've seen in quite a while. I mean, I'm not watching Spanish horror films all the time, mind you, but this is definitely one of the best Spanish horror films I've seen since the Blind Dead movies. And that's a few years, at least, for me, since I first saw those movies. But, yeah, I would honestly recommend just about every horror fan that, at least if you can handle a slow burn kind of film, seek this one out, because this one is very, very, very much worth checking out. And it actually has a new Blu-ray release out from Mondo Macabro, so you could go pick up that for like, I think it's like 15, 16 bucks right now. It's not too bad of a price. I'd definitely say that this movie is worth that much. But that being said, I'd probably go ahead and give this one like a solid 9 to a like 10 out of 10. This movie is really great, and I have almost no problems with it at all. That being said, that is it for this review. This is Biscaboo Horror Reviews, signing off. Peace.